Hi, Sara Levin, the Artful Inker here with card 4 in my 10 Days of Christmas series. Today we're going to be using Wondrous Wreath, and let's start with our card base, which is baked brown sugar. It's 11 by 4 1/4 and it's scored at 5 1/2. Let's just fold that right over and set that aside. And then we have a layer of designer paper from Color Me Autumn that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then you're going to need another piece of baked brown sugar, and this piece is 1 3/4 by 4 3/4, and then you just cut the diagonal. Okay, so now we are ready to get some of our other pieces together. So you are going to need 3 pieces that are 1/2 inch by 2 1/2 inches, and 1 piece that's 1/2 inch by 2 1/4. You should mark the center point on each of these. For the 2 1/2 inch long pieces, it's 1 1/4, and for the 2 1/4 pieces, it's 1 1/8. Now, once your center points are marked, just a little tick mark there, take your decorative label punch and you're going to feed this into the punch. And then slide it up so that you see the center, that little score mark, lines up with this little point. And then, let me see, I want to slide this in just a little bit because I'm just nipping a little bit off. And we're going to punch and shake it out. And then we're going to slide this back in. Same thing as before. Oh, sliding it back in to repunch the same side. Sorry about that. Sliding it back in. Let me make sure that, okay, and in and in. And can you see that I've just got the barest little bit of this showing in here? Okay, just a little bit. And punch again. And now we've created a piece that looks a bit like a spindle. And then we want 3 pieces that you're going to nip out of baked brown sugar, and you're going to use this part of the design, and again you're going to line it up with these 2 points here. So the bottom edge is lined up with those 2 points, and then punch. So 3 of those. Okay, and now we're done with that punch. Now let's do a little bit of stamping and we'll put the card together. So I have my Stampin' Pierce mat, which tells you I'm going to use a photopolymer stamp and a piece of Whisper White. I'll be just back. And on the Wondrous Wreath stamps, there's this great little tab here, and that is going to, you're going to, each time you stamp, make sure that that is pointing at the top of your paper. I even like it if I get it a little smudgy and that tab shows up in my stamping, because it will be cut off with the Wonderful Wreath dies. Okay, so we're just going to, you can see that I have double mounted the stamp. Okay, and we'll pull that off. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut because I want to emboss. So let me go ahead and, no, I think I'm going to go ahead and emboss. So I want the gold ink. Okay. And I'm going to come right on over this, and because my tab was at the top before, this will all be good. Okay, and press. Now, Put that stamp out of the way, and I've got a piece of scratch paper here, and I'm going to sprinkle on my gold embossing powder. Now, I purposely did not use my embossing buddy because the Mossy Meadow ink is wet enough that it will pick up just little bits of the embossing powder and gives a really cool effect. Hold on a moment while I emboss, and I'll be right back. So my wreath has been embossed, and now I need to add the berries. And what happens with the Mossy Meadow is, when you don't use the embossing buddy, is that it holds on to a little bit of the embossing powder, so you get kind of a mottled look. And then we have just a little bit of berries showing through, which is perfect. And let me move this aside, and we need one poinsettia to stamp. I already have one cut, so we'll stamp this one. Okay, and that's Cherry Cobbler. Now, there are framelits for all of these. This one fits like so, and then this one, we know our tab was at the top. The framelit also has a tab. This one goes in the middle, like so, no twisting. This too has a tab, and it's going to go right on the outside like so. So I'm going to take a second and cut these out with the Big Shot, and I'll be right back. Okay, so my Wondrous Wreath has been run through the Big Shot, and we'll pull it out of the rest of the Whisper White. And here it is, all cut out and ready with a minimum of effort. Now you're going to cut this into 4 pieces, and you'll end up with something like this. Let me grab the other 2. And then there's one small piece. So, and then I have taken the ribbon framelit from Wonderful Wreath and cut out half of it out of red glimmer paper, and I have a piece that looks like this. So let's start and assemble the card. Let me set these aside. So one more piece of stamping using the hardwood stamp. I'm going to ink that in baked brown sugar. Hold that a second so that I can see what I'm doing. Just drag this across and close this up and put it out of the way. Now these spindles that we did at the beginning with the decorative label punch are going to just lay right on here, and this is going to give them a little wood grain texture. Okay, and I've got my piece of scrap paper right here, and give that a little rub. And we'll pop those right off. And there we have it, a little bit of wood grain. Let me put that out of the way. And let's bring back in our card base. And now I need my multi-purpose glue and my Color Me Autumn designer paper. Just going to run a thin bead of glue on here, and then center this like so. Okay. And then take this, and I'm not going to push the top edge of this down. I'm just going to set this into place so that I can come back and put my spindles in. Now, of course, I've mixed up my short one, there we are, with the others. Just run a quick bit of glue. Bit of stamping to do. This one's going to go right up in here. Okay. All right, so then I have a sentiment, and it says Happy Wonderful Christmas, and I'm going to ink that in the gold. And I'm going to take this off of my mat for the purposes of aligning my stamp. So I'm going to use the grid paper down here to make sure that my card is straight. See, I've got a top line here and a bottom line, and going right in here. Okay, I'll be back in just a moment after I've embossed. I'm back and I've embossed my sentiment, and now I'm going to ink the sentiment stamp with Mossy Meadow and offset it slightly, which will highlight the sentiment. So please excuse me if I get my head in the camera. My glasses don't quite let me see this without getting really nice and close. Okay, and there we go. You get a neat little gold and Mossy Meadow Happy Wonderful Christmas. Thanks for stopping by. This is the Artful Inker. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, then click in the left theartfulinker.com link and go to my blog, and don't forget to look at the other videos in my 10 Days of Christmas series. Bye. Have a great day.